Hi everyone, it's Shelle from Shell Crochet. Welcome to my May crochet update. Hi everyone, it's Shelle. I hope you're doing well. First, I'd like to welcome you all to my channel and thank you for subscribing. It's a pleasure to have you. We're going to walk through the things I've made in the month of May, and then I have a story to tell you about some yarn. Okay, they're going to start with some hats. In May, I made 3 hats, one for Hat Not Hate, one just a scrap hat to get through some of those scraps, and another one for Setta's Calendar Cal. I'm going to pop up a picture here and we'll get going with that one. I made this with worsted weight scrap in a whole bunch of different colors that I thought went so well with the picture. And I held it double with one strand of Patton's Glam Stripes in the colorway Rose Dawn. And it's got that peach that's in the calendar as well as some sparkle to it. And who doesn't like a little bit of shimmer in their hat? This will be super cozy. It's double crochets and post stitches, and it's just a really simple beanie pattern. The hat that I made from all scraps is just a little boy's hat, and I think one is actually a Bernat regular stripes and the other is a Bernat big stripes, and both of them were just the tail ends of the cake. And finally, I had big intentions to make all 7 of the hats that Crystal did for her week of Blue Hats for Hat Not Hate on Bag O' Day Crochet, so be sure to check that out if you're looking for some awesome hat patterns. And I only made it to day 1. I do like it a lot though, and I will definitely use this pattern again in the future. And I do plan to keep that week of videos in mind and go back to those when I do have other hats that I want to be making throughout the year. What I'm going to do is look through all the blue hats I've made, and in the month of June I will give you a refresh of all those blue hats so that I can make sure I'm getting them off to a Lion Brand Hat Not Hate by August 1st deadline. Okay, on to some other little things that I've made along the way. I had quite a few scrunchies go out the door in the month of May, so I decided to do another sort of stockpile of all some nice bright summer colors, and I thought some people might want some for Canada Day, so I have a bunch of red ones as you can see here in the picture. I also took the opportunity to make some in some yarn that was gifted to me that I have already done and completed projects with, and I just had to tail a little bit of it left, and then this way I get to have them as a keepsake. So those will be near and dear to me. And also tried making some with some of that new Handicrafter that's out there at Walmart only, Handicrafter Stripey, much softer than regular Handicrafter and makes itself a good scrunchie. The other cotton projects I worked on were some different types of cozies, and I wanted one that was stretchy enough that I could use it on a can if I was sitting outside in the back, but also put it on a glass, and this is working great. So just a regular same half double back loop that people use to do great beanies with. I used it to do a little cozy. Stretchy cotton, you know. What I love about the cotton for the drinks outside is that, you know, everything gets very, very damp and of condensation on it in this time of year when as soon as it starts to get humid. So I was playing around with a couple patterns. I originally had tried this for a wine glass, and I'll pop up a picture, but I decided to make it bigger so it can go on a pint glass instead. One of the things I have to keep in mind is the bulk that this adds and whether that actually helps the grip of the item or not. And for my hands, my poor arthritic hands, sometimes that's a bit of a challenge. So work in progress for sure. And if you haven't already seen Sandy from Left is Right Crochet talk about her full tumbler cozies, I'm going to be planning to make a few of those as well. So for Mother's Day, I worked on a tea towel and a washcloth set for my sister out of some Handicrafter cotton, the regular kitchen cotton, absolutely fine for this. The tea towel pattern comes from Crystal at Bag O' Day Crochet. I just love all the muted taupey gray colors in this yarn, and so I thought that would complement her kitchen very nicely. And also I made another version of the top I'm wearing. So I made myself this tank top last year out of ice yarns in the pastel cotton, and let me just say a couple things about the yarn. It is a 50-50 cotton acrylic blend. It's a little bit thick when you first feel it, and it's got a bit of a strange texture to it almost, but wash and dry, maybe not dry completely, but wash and dry is fine. And it does soften up, but it's also very breathable and feels a lot lighter on as a fabric than it does when you're working with it. So I made my mom the same top for Mother's Day. And it is a measure here. So get your proper measurement there. I suggest doing a foundation single or foundation half double band, just because it's going to give you a little bit more stretch feel to it. And then make sure your stitch count is what it needs to be for the granny stitch, and go for it. So I had been watching Krista at the Secret Yarnery last year sometime, and she was talking about a dress she had made because someone asked her about it, and she said, oh, you know, and I just upsized the hook for shaping. And I'm like, what does that mean exactly? So that's what I tried when I made this top initially, and I'm pretty sure I went through about 4 different hook sizes to get this top, and I will pop up a picture here. You know, the size that I needed it to be by the time it hits my hips, which is the widest part for me. And that's what kind of makes it customizable. You can do what you need for your shape. And so for my mom, she's a size small. I didn't need to do anything particularly aggressive in terms of sizing up her top, but I did do some subtle hook changes. I think I went from about a 5 to about a 6.5 on her top. And you know, just as you get past and go down towards the hips, you just can loosen it up a little by increasing your hook size. And yeah, so with my mom's, I used the Bernat Handicrafter Stripey in the colorway Linen, and it's really, really nice. Very I just can't even believe the difference between the two kinds of handicrafter there is now. Just for people, because I know I've seen some people wondering about this yarn now. It's available at Walmart. It's exclusive to Walmart, and it's only available in store as far as I can tell. The packaging is a bit different besides the name, because the Stripey comes in cakes, little cakes. Okay, so, and again, I asked Spin Right over email, and I was told it is exclusive to Walmart. So even the listable store does not have it. Anyway, back to the top. It was a pleasure to work with, and a couple of minor alterations, but they work up great. So now my next plan is to make myself another one in all black, now that I know what I'm doing. And I have another one on my hook for June for a friend that will be made in a different colorway of Stripey. You'll see a set here I made. This is just because I was playing around with a mask pattern that I found from Yarn Inspirations, because I thought, oh, it should feel really good on the face, right? Now, downside to these masks is, of course, you do need to line these with cotton, which I have not done yet, but I made myself both of those masks and the washcloth that's displayed with them, as well as I think 2 scrunchies out of 1 cake. So, you know, it goes pretty far, and it would be really nice to see more of this version of Handicrafter available to us. Obviously more than just at Walmart, but just solids and bigger skeins and things like that would be awesome. So hopefully one day that might happen. So I made a hug shrug for one of my girlfriends out of the pastel cotton and trimmed it with the sparkly black yarn from Ice Yarns as well. And I love this pattern because once you get going, it's such an easy pattern. You just are double crocheting, and instead of joining it, you twist it and keep going. So I follow, well, there's a bunch of different versions out there. There's the hug shrug is Krista at the Secret Yarnery, which is a V-stitch pattern. And then there's a bunch of different ones using double crochet. And I choose to follow the hug shrug tutorial with a double crochet stitch rather than the V-stitch. So that's how I make it. I also jumped on board the Karina Anna train with the poncho capelet, and this is made in Shawl and a Ball Healing Teal, and following pretty much exactly. I did do a little bit of changing of hook size towards the bottom to give it a little bit of ease here. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Pedra's Happy Place for taking the time to give us an updated tutorial and suggestions on how to increase the stitch counts and increase the size basically, so that now I can feel more comfortable to make one that will fit me. And I'm planning on doing that for June as well. So it's time to talk about a fail. I made a sweater and it was about 75 to 80% done. The fabric was almost completely done, and I was making a cocoon sweater, and I decided that that is the complete and utter wrong shape for me. So I frogged it. 3.5 cakes of comfy cotton are now balled up and in timeout waiting. And it's disappointing, but you gotta do what you gotta do in order to make something work. And I wasn't gonna be able to wear that. It was gonna be way too bulky up here for me. So on to the next. What I did learn is I have enough yarn for sure, and I know exactly what stitch I want to use because I was playing around with the stitching when I was making the fabric initially. So to cheer myself up, I made this. I find that when you're working on something that's taking a long time, it is very motivating to make something, finish it, and have it work up quickly. So I had pulled out some Bernat home bundle yarn, which is a size 6, super bulky, and made myself a good old C2C lock-in. Here I go, disappearing again. The colorway is called dark gray, and as you probably are aware, there are 4 different yarns in home bundle. There's blanket yarn, an even softer, fuzzier yarn that I don't know what it's called. There is a two-tone sort of black and silver regular acrylic, like a twisted acrylic. And I believe the last one that's in here is Bernat Beyond. But it's kind of like you can tell that there's separate strands when it untwists. 3 of the 4 yarns are very thick, and that really soft fuzzy yarn is not as thick. And I was tempted to have held like a 3-weight with it just for those sections, but I didn't. Something I would think about doing in the future. This was 3 balls and a bit of the Bernat home bundle plus regular Bernat blanket yarn for the border. So 4 full balls of bundle, you could definitely make this size, which is about 3 feet by 4 feet, give or take. And just nice that I started it on a Sunday and had it finished by Friday, to make yourself sort of feel like you're bouncing back from the project that didn't go the way you wanted, right? And another one. So my mom's tank top counts as my Make 9 summer top, although I do plan on making some more. I also finished the Jayda InStitches Autumn Moon Wrap, and I had specifically chosen to not do this in the fall colors, although I love the way hers looks. I chose to do this in sort of colors that could be worn with jeans, and I had some Caron Big Cakes in the colorway Blueberry Tort that I thought would look awesome, and it did. It worked up really great. Here we go. Awesome. So this is the feather and fan stitch, and the pattern is alternating rows of feathers and fans with half double crochet. But as I may have mentioned before, I'm not a big fan of the treble crochet. I don't like how they look when I do them, so it frustrates me. So therefore, I did 2 rows of half double crochet in between, and it worked fine. It gave me a bit of more of a break. It also changes the side that you're crocheting the fans and feathers on. I don't know, because you know when you go back and forth, if you're only doing a 2-row repeat, the side you crochet on is going to be the same side for the same stitch if you're only doing 2-row repeat. Well, now it's being changed up quite a bit, right? So I don't know if that adds to the texture or not, but I thought that would be interesting. And there's a really nice floating picot border as part of the tutorial that I just had to alter the stitch count slightly on the sides only, because the sides are where the extra row of half double comes into play in terms of the length in between stitches and where you're joining your slip stitches. And I love that it's these muted, so you know how pastels are very muted colors? Well, this is muted in a different way. So it's not like the bright versions of these colors, and it's not the dark versions of these colors. It's just to me like the denim-y versions of these colors. And you have like a taupe, a purple, two blues, and a teal. And with jeans, I don't know, this is going to be awesome. It feels awesome right now. It's not that warm a day today. The windows are open, but I mean, it's like 18. Like, it's not like it's freezing out. And it's airy, and I'm happy. It's just, I guess I find it a bit perplexing because I wasn't having very much fun when I was making it. I love how it looks. So that leads me to think that another one could end up on my hook at some point, because it looks so fancy, right? I'm not staring at it super close, so I don't know how much I like the trebles still, but hey, I'm not going to get better at trebles unless I practice them, right? So another check mark for the Make 9, and that's 2 thumbs up in my book. Okay, so a few things that I don't have here with me that I can talk about. I did finish my extra large, a big beautiful basket for my girlfriend Julie, and delivered that at the very beginning of May. It was ginormous and it took a while. I need to give myself breaks when I work on those things because the 4 strands and 3 strands of yarn are really challenging and they hurt my hands quite a bit, but it's done and she's happy with it, so yay. And that pattern, the original pattern, is by Jayda InStitches. And she's done a whole bunch of different baskets which come in really handy around the house if you need any. Something else by Jayda that I took advantage of was a newer tutorial for the month of May where she did a daisy granny square. I'll pop up a picture of the original daisy granny square I made. And then what I decided to do is make a wall hanging for outside my front door. I figure this is going to be acrylic scraps. I can make the colors, choose the colors I want, and if it walks away or gets damaged, no big deal, I can just make another one. So what I did was I chose to use the, so after the daisy itself is made, there's a bit of a chaining row, and I chose to use green there to just have that essence of like leaves or greenery showing through. And then I picked my 3 colors I wanted to use, and I finished my granny squares with the colors. Then I added the green back in as a border and as a way of joining the squares together. And at the very bottom, at the top and the bottom, 2 extra rows of double crochet so that I could insert those wooden skewers to use to keep it flat and straight against the wall. And then I put a hanger on the top. And there's the finished project. I'm really happy with it. It looks really neat, and I've seen some people noticing it out front of my house, and I don't have a green thumb, so this will have to do. So with the quarantine and being at home more, a little friend of mine's birthday got slipped right by me in April, and I wasn't sure what to do, and all of a sudden all these people started talking about water balloons, and I thought, what are water balloons? And I went on and did some investigation, and I thought, okay, so it's just blanket yarn and you get it wet and people whip it around. Cool. So I did watch the tutorial, and then I ended up just winging it. You know, basically it's starting like a hat. You increase it to get some roundness, and then you decrease it back down really small so that you can then put that little circle thing on the bottom to make it look like a balloon. There are tons of tutorials and patterns to follow if that's how you choose to work it up. I just chose the wing it method, and I made 10 in 2 different yarns. One was a stripes, so I could do, because the stripe was long enough that I could make solid colored balloons out of the stripes. And then one was variegated, so basically my little friend and his brother can play with this summer. I think it will come in handy in the hot weather because like pools and things are not going to be open the same as they were, and it'll give them some nice activities to be able to participate in the summertime. So fun. And finally, I did finish my purse. So I do believe I showed that this had been started last month, and this is 2 strands held together of cotton yarn. The one that is held throughout is Bernat Handicrafter Cotton Deluxe, which is basically the same as the regular Handicrafter. They just come in different size balls, and that black is throughout. And then the sparkle is a ice yarn that I added to it, and then this is shawl in a ball, and then back to the sparkle. So there's 2 kinds of handles on here, so I can just grab it if I need to, and then also my messenger bag style crossbody strap. I've been using it It's sturdy, it's not heavy compared to my leather / fake leather bags I have. And I just have things inside it in like little pouches and things so that they're not going to slip through. Using single crochet definitely helps. There's not very many holes, but it's been working so far, and I've used it for the whole month of May, so happy with that. Made a little pouch to go inside it as well. Some beads on the drawstring there. Yeah, so I think that's about it. I will be coming back with some yarn talk, and the reason I'm going to do it separately this month is because one of the packages that I want to discuss is not here yet, although I ordered it in the middle of the month. I know things are a bit slow right now in terms of delivery and postage and things like that, so once it arrives, I will be showing you what I got, along with some additions I found at Walmart on a grocery trip, and a couple of other little updates that are yarn related. So I thought this time I'd do it a little bit separately, so, well, out of necessity more than anything. But that's basically that for the month of May. June will be month 6 of the year, so I'll be hoping to do a little bit of reflecting on how I've been doing with my goals, and looking forward to talking to you about that in about a month. So in the meantime, I hope you all are doing well. I'd like to thank you for joining me here. It really does mean a lot to me that you are taking the time to participate in my channel. My name is Chelle. This is Chelle Show Crochet. If you've enjoyed this video and you haven't already, please do press the subscribe button, and you'll find me again at the end of June for my regular monthly updates, and you never know what happens in between. So in the meantime, have a great day and happy crochet. Bye.